For years, we have called her Shakti, the source, the strength, and the intuition that held everything together. Today, that same woman is exhausted, misdiagnosed, and last on her list of care. Even our healthcare system treats as an exception. Her pain is an afterthought, and her mental load is invisible. From feminism to feminist, from fem-tech to awareness and education, a lot has been done. Yet there lies a gap. And that is what we are here to talk about today. What is that one thing that a system or a society need to do to finally see her, treat her, and care for her? For that, today we have a very special guest with us. This is Poonam Munshi. She is a seasoned leader and aspiring entrepreneur, a mother, and a woman. We thank you, ma'am, for joining us for this episode today.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Before we dive further, to start off, we would like to know what is that one moment or any instant that made you realize that women's healthcare is broken?
I think many. When you're younger, you don't think about health as much. But as you grow older and you have more responsibilities, whether it is for your own health, for your family's health, you start becoming a caregiver, you start being responsible for different people in the family. Mm-hmm. That's when it first occurs to you that that so-called cliche, health is wealth, is just so true. And that's when you realize that at different instances, you realize that the system is kind of broken at various levels. And you can talk about different levers as we go along in the conversation.
To proceed with, or I would say to begin with, I want to understand, because you have spent a lot of time in the industry, at home, as a parent, as a mother and a sister, what are those common problems that a woman face in her journey towards, like advancing towards starting from puberty, from maybe maternal issues, etc.?
I think there are many, and you identify these at different points in life, whether it is young girls who are often either diagnosed a little later or are misdiagnosed for some hormonal conditions, mm-hmm. going on to around fertility, going on to around perimenopause, menopause and whatnot. At every level, you see various things that get either missed mm-hmm. or delayed for reasons such as sometimes women just don't raise the flag at an early enough stage. If you do raise the flag, then you end up going to a doctor and either the diagnosis takes time or the systems are not equipped to identify that one unique cause, okay. and so on. And in some cases, there isn't enough research to even deal with a certain issue. I think I would say that, yeah.
In your conversation, you mentioned about PCOS and hypothyroidism. And in fact, a lot of current studies say that even if you say PCOS has been recently renamed to PMO.
Yes.
So what has been your thought after that? Earlier, it was just considered to be an ovarian disease, but now we are shifting the entire narration to be a metabolic disease. So first, what your thought, and then what do you think is the ideal cause for PMOS per se?
I think that change of name, that itself speaks a lot.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. When you talk about modern medicine, how long has it been? Yeah. It's not a new phenomena. It's not happened in the last few years. It's been around for a long time. But the nomenclature change has happened only now.
Right.
That itself speaks a lot. That itself tells you that it was earlier identified as a specific organ-related issue, while now we are saying it's a metabolic issue, right. which is a much bigger thing, right? I think a lot of things that feed into it, right from the kind of diet we have. There is a lot of adulteration in the food that we eat, the environmental factors, the chemicals, the plastic exposure. Everything is just taking us towards some disaster or the other. Right. And these are all, I think, culminations of pretty much being surrounded with everything which is kind of going away from nature. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To add to this question itself, again, since we're talking about issues, pregnancy is one of the terms that is very much, I think, close to every woman, because every woman will want to or have an inclination towards motherhood. But recently, we have seen a lot of cases in terms of delayed pregnancy, or you call it like they go for IVF because they could not conceive at the right time. So, what is your conception? You also have a very beautiful baby. So, maybe your experiences that you can share with our audience.
I think this is a slightly tricky question in the sense that it's not only around health. It's there is a lot of impact of the cultural context that you are in.
Okay.
A lot of I think a lot of environmental factors that go in, significant societal change as well. So I'll just give you some examples just to make my point clearer. If you look at the way India was, say, until about 2 decades back, it was very different. In the last 2 decades or 2+ decades, there's been a significant shift in the industry representation of women. A lot of women coming into the workplace, education-wise, doing much better than before. Getting many more opportunities, wanting to chase a certain career goal. So there are a lot of those factors. At the same time, there are certain things which are a part of every woman's life.
Okay.
And if you do go for your fertility, for your maternity goals, then there are certain things that have to happen to make your life transition smooth. Not everyone has that ecosystem supporting them.
Correct.
Whether it is being able to return back to their career, whether it is the family supporting you. What I mean by that is that sometimes you're a nuclear family. You don't have enough people around you. Where do you leave the child? What do you do? Or when you are in the maternity sort of space, who is supporting you with your own health, your nutrition, your need for rest, your need for exercise, and so on.
To add to this, we were talking about a lot of issues. Motherhood is something that every woman is close to. I think everyone has it. Every woman has an inclination towards the care. But recently, we have seen a lot of cases. There are a lot of news as well when there are delayed pregnancy. Women in the urban do not want to conceive, or when they try to conceive, then they have certain fertility issues, and then they resort to IVF. So, what is your thought on all of this?
I think where it starts from is education, perhaps, especially in the time that, I'm talking about my school time, when we were growing up, how we were taught and what we were taught versus what I know today.
Correct.
If I knew then what I knew today, what I know today, I would have probably planned my life in a very different way.
Okay.
So we're not taught about procreation. We're not taught about reproduction in the way that we should be. Most of the people of my age or around that time will just tell you that we used to have one biology chapter where there were certain pages. The moment the teachers reached that chapter, there were just giggles in the class and the teacher would just skip through and move on. Even if they did read through those pages, there's still not enough for us to understand our own bodies.
Yes.
If we don't know what our bodies are capable of and not, we would not probably do the kind of things we do. So it starts from there, that we don't even know that where is that term biological clock coming from. A lot of people have made it into a very almost like an offensive term, but the term biological clock comes from science, well-established science. So that's the one thing. The second thing is, when you move a little ahead from there, you talk about the reality, the context in which a woman is. When are you married at the right time? If you're married, then it's the other thing is your career goals. In the last probably 2+ decades, things have changed significantly in India. The whole corporate sector has changed a lot. The kind of careers that have come up, industries that have come up has significantly changed. So everyone is, of course, chasing certain career goals. Now, if you don't have the right education and you're chasing a career goal, life is going good. A lot of people just think, why disrupt things? Let me just go ahead. We'll plan later. Itni kya jaldi hai, and so on. So some are those things. Then there are some other practical aspects, like a lot of young working couples, especially in urban India, would be living far away from families. So you don't have a lot of family support in the sense of people being around you to help you with various things, whether it's your nutrition, whether it's your general well-being. If you do go ahead and have a child, then who supports you in the first few months to few years? It's a difficult journey. It's not an easy journey. And there's a lot going on, especially for new parents. In the first year, it can be very intense. So what is the support system? Then you're just dependent on the whole helpers, nannies, chapas, and that kind of group, which is also becoming more and more difficult by the day. So there are a lot of factors that, starting from education to policy to organizational policies. If you're working in an organization, you're chasing certain career goals, you know that if you take a break at a particular time, then it will suddenly change your professional plan. So then sometimes there's a delay because of that as well. So there are various things that lead into it.
Do you also think it is because of we covered why there is a delay pregnancy, but when we talk about women not being able to conceive, because if we see from our ancient times on how the physiology is made, she is meant to conceive, she is meant to procreate, but then again she is facing a lot of issues in terms of that. So do you count that lifestyle is one of the factors? Also, a lot of narration has changed, like you mentioned, in the last 2 decades. Everything has changed in the corporate sector, but then the need to be equal, like we say, right? Feminism is something that has come up a lot lately, and just in the race of proving herself, maybe she has just forgotten what she actually is.
Yeah. Yes. So there are, like I said, several factors. I just touched upon the safer options to talk about: the education, professional aspect, family support, etc. There are, of course, a lot of cultural and societal things impacting it as well. You're right about using the word narration. There is a lot of change in the narration as well. You did not have the conversation around feminism, equality in the way that it is happening today. It happened before as well, smaller scale. Now the conversation has become much larger. It's also taken a very different form now. It started from a certain definition. It's taken a different form now. Of course, those factors feed into it as well. Then, of course, you've got the other environmental factors. You're not eating the right food. You're not getting the right sleep. We've got to watch Netflix. We'd rather sleep 5 hours, but finish that series because I have to talk to my friends about it. There's a lot of ordering in happening because we're spending so much time traveling to work, coming back from work, doing a million other things that we're not left with time to sit and peacefully plan meals, cook meals, have home cooked meals. So a number of times eating out is happening. There's a lot of chemical laden food going inside. So all those factors are also, of course, adding up to it. And I think, equality, I thought that when we started talking about equality, I thought it started from the perspective of equality of opportunities, of being able to being heard, getting that sort of freedom. But it's reached a point where we are saying men and women are equal, which I'm sorry, we are not. We are very, very different. We are biologically very, very different beings. Men are built differently. Women are built differently. Men are, they serve a different purpose in the whole nature aspect, and women serve a different purpose. Now, going against nature is going to have its own repercussions. Whether we like it or not, it is going to have that. And we are seeing that a lot, unfortunately. And with girls as young as even 7, 8 now, starting from there, going into 50s and so.
I second you on that.
Yeah.
We'll touch this point once again later,
Sure.
but now I just want to bring in the aspect like we have a lot of conversation till now and everything has been physical. This is the problems, physical stress or something, but it does not limit to physical only.
It does
So
not, yeah.
we feel the same, that it is not just physical, but then a lot of things, be it in my general day-to-day life or during pregnancy.
Of course.
So,
Yeah.
how do you think is mental load or a cognitive load a part of her life, and how is she well heard in that area?
Oh, I think mental health, emotional health, definitely a very, very overlooked area. Case in point, I completely ignored that while talking about everything else. Though I like to think that I'm a very big advocate of mental health. Um, so, across different stages in life, you do get impacted differently. And earlier, mental health was not a very, very openly discussed concept. Uh, so, there was a lot of stigma, and women did not talk about it because that was the reality. On the other side, you did not have a lot of doctors opting for psychiatry. At least earlier, they did not. Now it's looked upon as a very interesting career option, interesting specialization, which is going to grow significantly well. But earlier it was not, because people, there was just so much of stigma. People went to the doctor only when it became really, really serious. The good thing that has happened is that there is a lot of conversation around mental health. There isn't, however, a, a very, very specific approach towards women. And the reason I'm saying that is that we go through different phases in life, and there is a lot of impact of the hormonal changes in our body on everything that we do, right? When we are hitting puberty, then when we go for maternity, then there is perimenopause, there is menopause, and then there are several other external events that are happening to us through our lives. Whether we are moving away from home for education, then we get married and we move away from our comfort zone, then we have a baby and we become parents, and so on and so forth. In this whole thing, there is not a lot of conversation around women's mental health, and it still unfortunately is a stigma. If you see men talking about mental health, it's still okay, but if a woman talks about it, uh, you see a lot of slang thrown around. She's menopausal, why are you PMSing? Those kind of things happen as well. So a number of times women don't talk about it openly. I have observed people around me, and I have been on the other side of the table as well, where I myself was struggling with mental health. Now, the thing with mental health is that it does not knock you out always. There are some kinds of disorders or some kinds of conditions in which you're still very, very highly functioning. And since you're highly functioning, no one will know until you share it with them. So when I was battling a certain episode, a certain phase in life, I don't think anyone in my professional circle knew, except for maybe a couple of friends I would have shared it with. Nobody knew. Uh, Somewhere there is a fear at the back of your mind that if I talk about it, it is going to impact me in my career, in my standing in the organization. So there is that big stigma, despite the fact that at a larger level, the society has opened up more about mental health. Parents do talk openly about their child struggling with anxiety, their child struggling with depression, and all of that, which earlier was not the case. Parents used to be dismissive. But I think I was able to deal with this situation myself because I received a lot of support from the family, from my partner, everyone around me. But if you talk about it at a systemic level, there isn't a lot of support. If you're dealing with it, does it mean that you can still go through receiving the kind of support you need and not get impacted in your career, in your life, in your social environment? Not really. At a systemic level, there is still that issue. Yeah, big gap for sure. For sure.
Do you think this systemic gap is because of the reason, like, since I have also lived certain part of the journey, whenever you go and tell a problem to maybe your parents or someone, it will be like, अरे ये तो सबको होता है. So that ये तो सबको होता है has created a boundary in our minds कि अगर मैं बोल भी दूंगी तो वो यही आएगा कि अरे सबको होता है. तो she She tries once or twice or thrice, but then she knows this is the answer, so it's better to keep it to herself rather than go and get the same answer back again.
ये तो सबको होता है और ये सब चीज में होता है ये सिर्फ मेंटल हेल्थ में नहीं होता. If you go and tell someone that you're feeling really low because you moved from your parents' place in city A to city B to be with your partner, अरे सब लोग जाते हैं. If you say that okay, you're having a difficult journey towards conception, we're not even reaching the maternity bit yet, towards conception, अरे सबके साथ होता है. If you say maternity, then अरे सबके साथ होता है. To the point that sometimes even doctors will be dismissive about it. That अरे सबके साथ होता है. Why you're not the only special one? Everyone has this pain and all of that. That also pushes you back a bit, right? A number of times women do want to talk about it. They are suffering, and they have somehow managed the guts to talk about it. But when you know that सामने वाला नहीं सुनने वाला है और उसको नहीं उस तरह से appreciate करने वाला है जिस तरह से आप चाहते हो. I mean, you're not asking for anything big. Sometimes you just want to be heard, but the other person is not giving you even that much space sometimes to just hear you out. But the first thing is, अरे सबके साथ होता है. You're not the first one to deal with it. That definitely pushes you back, and it's an unfortunate thing. But it does push the conversation back for sure. Whether it's mental health, whether it's emotional health, even if it is some other physical health related symptoms, right? Somebody says that I've been struggling with some sort of pain or period related complications, and and then it takes sometimes years to diagnose something like endometriosis. I have actually known a couple of people who were very, very good professionals, worked with me in the past. But the first time I heard from them, I said, I've not even heard of it. What is this? So I learned about it, and then I heard their account as to how it's been so difficult because the diagnosis took 2 years. First 2 years, they were not able to diagnose. She went to all sorts of gynecologists. She went to all sorts of physicians as well, but there was no diagnosis. So I think there's a lot of lack of awareness of our own bodies, of our health, our well-being. One is that. The second thing is then also acknowledgement, sometimes even from the doctors. I think a lot of these specializations have also come up only in the last couple of decades again, right? You did not have super specialization back then. So a lot of these new age sort of conditions are also coming to the fore now. And still it takes some time. But a number of times people don't have these conversations because they feel like they'll be pushed back and nobody's going to take it seriously. So they suffer in silence. I know so many women who've had periods running for 15 days a month, and they've not raised their voice for almost a year plus until they spoke to someone and they came to them, nahi, aise nahi hota hai. There are other women who will have it for 3 days, 5 days, and they're done with it. And then they decided to, oh, by the way, I can talk to my mother, I can talk to my father, I can talk to a doctor, and so on. And then that long journey of finally finding someone who was able to diagnose it. So, yeah.
So to this point, I would like to understand कि education की हमने बात करी, हमने इसको पहले भी touch किया था. But where in the phase of education do you think we are failing, और क्या ऐसा change लाए कि हम women को, even not just women, I think everybody needs to learn. अगर भी women ही अगर सिर्फ educate हमने men को छोड़ दिया तो मेरे जो issues, safety issues है वो सारे वहाँ पे surface में नहीं तैयार. So what is the type of thing that you envision कि अगर ऐसा हो सकता था तो शायद ये सी better हो सकती है.
I think at a larger level, it needs to be a holistic conversation. Like you rightly said, we cannot do it only for women and not men. Similarly, education is like that. That जब आप educate कर रहे हैं, तो आपने सबको करना है. I think there is a lot of course, हमारी textbooks जो है वो है, and I'm talking about my school time when I was studying science. Things have changed significantly from then, so I don't know what is it now. I've not reached that stage yet. But education needs to be relevant, right? There is, of course, a lot of conversation around. There are chapters on reproductive health and so on. But there are some aspects of that which are very important to understand. For example, I like to think that I'm a very well-read person when it comes to medicine, non-medical completely. I like that subject. I really enjoyed science throughout, and I still read. I still try to understand different concepts and so on. But I did not know that a woman, when it is a female child, the fetus is a female child, they're born with their lifetime supply of eggs. If I knew that when I should have known, I would have planned my life very differently. I would not have planned parenthood at 40. So that's what I mean by making it relevant. You don't only talk about definitions and jargon and ye diagram bana lo or ye aise hota hai, and then there are giggles and everything. No. You've got to talk about things that are relevant. First of all, how many women understand their own body? Other than the basic organs, we don't even know what to call what. So it's starting from there. First of all, understand your own body. Understand what is the impact of hormones on your body. And then there are different stages in life. How are those stages different from each other? And what are the different transitions that happen? वो वाली conversation, I think, उस तरह से शायद नहीं हो रही है. It may have changed in the last few years. Like I said, when I was studying, things were different. But I think that is how it should be. Education has to be relevant. It has to be simpler to understand, to the extent that somebody living in the farthest corner of the country will be able to understand. Somebody who's not even studied science knows at least these basic things. Like, जो कोई अनपढ़ भी होते हैं कोई गांव देहात में, अगर वो देखते हैं किसी को चक्कर आ गया, उनको पता है ना कि पानी पिलाना है, नमक और चीनी डालना है मुंह में, ये तो सबको पता है. तो ऐसा सिंप्लीफाई करना है इस चीज को. ये सबको पता भी था in a sense, and that's why there was this whole concept of get married by the right age, have a child by the right age, and then the biological clock. Somewhere we lost the knowledge and the jargon continued. So that knowledge has to come back, and it needs to be made very simple so that everyone across the board understands it. And when they do understand it, I think the things will start getting sorted from there. And again, coming back to the point of holistic, it needs to be a holistic solution overall. You're talking about education, you're talking about policy at a larger level, you're talking about industries, you're talking about companies where you have people-related policies, you're talking about health, you're talking about mental health, emotional health. All of these things have to feed into each other. So, इसलिए अगर आप एक चीज का solution लेके आओगे, the situation will not get sorted. It needs to feed into each other. Everything has to speak to each other. It has to be thought through very well, and there has to be a very strategic plan around it. You may choose to do certain things at different points in time, but there has to be at least a plan, a broader plan that eventually all of this will feed into this, and hence this makes sense and it completes the circle.
Definitely agree on this point. Just the जो आपने point touch किया कि हमने वो information कहीं lost कर दी है. But I would definitely hear from you. But what I feel is कि education और कोई information आज भी है. मतलब even if you tell me or someone of my age कि आपको 30 तक बीबी कर लेना चाहिए and you should do that. So though they know, but they will contradict कि अरे ये तो नहीं है, because I feel there is a lot of influence in terms of lifestyle from the West कि अरे नहीं जरूरत ही नहीं है, ठीक है ना, कर लेंगे ना. एंड वो जो एक नोशन चल रहा है कि नहीं बच्चे कर लेंगे तो आप लाइफ ही नहीं जी पाओगे, ऐसा पता नहीं क्या ही बच्चे हो क्या आपकी लाइफ बर्बाद कर रहा है. I don't know.
That is true. Pop culture, right? It's a lot of influence from the West, you're right. But you'll see वो पूरा cycle West में भी चल रहा है. It started like that there was a lot of conversation around feminism, this, that, and the other. And now you will see there's also that cycle of a lot of women going back to a more traditional way of living, where they want to take care of their families, they want to have kids, take care of them, bring them up and care for the families and that kind of thing. I'm not saying this is better than the other or whatever. I'm not here to judge. But I do believe that a lot of these conversations going into the pop culture feed into the society as well. And the problem is we pick up some parts of it and we leave out the relevant parts of it. So there are people who will then make these conversations very mainstream that, the moment you have a child, your life is gone. They will, I don't think so. Life changes for sure, it does. But it changes for the better. There are so many absolutely incredible things that happen. One of the things that happens is you start living life and looking at life and every single element from the lens of a small child. And you start appreciating every single thing all over again. That's an absolutely incredible thing. There is, the problem is there is a lot of cool factor attached to some of these conversations. So when you say that if you don't have a career and you're at home, that's just very uncool. You're just a housewife, or you're just a homemaker. That just thing has to get out of it.
Now the question of overthinking. As a woman, I think you also think we always keep ourselves last. Whether it's pre-marriage, during marriage or post-marriage. You always have maybe during marriage, ki haan, chalo, abhi main attention grab kar leti hu. It is always the last person to eat, the last person to sleep and all that. So what do you think about it? Like, I think from an emotional perspective, it is good. But then you're talking about health, there are certain areas I think where we as women should prioritize.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's a natural thing that comes to us, right? We did talk about men and women being different, and we are born as somebody who gives life, who creates life, and also nurtures it.
Right.
So it is a very natural thing that comes to us. It's not that, like, I don't want to be a victim here that, oh my God, I'm having to do so much. No, not really. You love doing it. You love caring for someone. You love caring for your family. You love being there for them. You love being the one who remembered it when no one else did. So all that is great. The only issue that happens is that somewhere in this whole busy space, we don't end up finding time for our health. We ignore a lot of things that we should not ignore.
Mm-hmm.
We delay things a lot. Our time is always more flexible. That कोई नहीं आज नहीं डॉक्टर मिला तो कोई बात नहीं अगले हफ्ते मिल लेंगे बिकॉज कल तो ये है और परसों तो वो है और फिर बच्चों की यूनिफॉर्म लेनी है और ये करना है वो करना है. So all that keeps happening. I think we have to be mindful of the fact that while we play all our roles with perfection, we are the perfect daughters, we are the perfect wives, we are the perfect sisters, we are the perfect daughters-in-law, we are the perfect mothers, we are the perfect everything, perfect. But we've also got to remember that we are human beings as well, and we do need to take care of ourselves as well. So we've got to somewhere take a pause, keep evaluating on where we are from a health perspective, whether it is sleep. And the moment somebody sees this, somebody who knows me sees this podcast is going to laugh because I don't really sleep a lot. But whether it is sleep, whether it is nutrition, whether it is exercise, whether it is being out in the nature for your own mental health, doing things that you love, we've got to figure out how to find time for that and not get completely bogged down with all our responsibilities. I think that's the only way to do it, because what comes naturally to you, you will continue to do that. And all of us do it really well. But we've got to find time for ourselves. We've got to focus on our health, because if we are not well, then everything that we are trying to achieve a perfect balance at falls apart too.
If you are not healthy, how do you ensure that you will be healthy?
Yeah. I mean, an empty vessel cannot feed anyone, right? You've got to take care of yourself, whether it's your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health. You've got to take care of it. And only then can you take care of your loved ones.
Also, just an addition to this, I feel in the ancient times, like you would have seen feminine power. We have all the three forces, and woman was always designated as Shakti, the source, the power, or something. We stay in spirituality as well, ki Shakti bin Shiva dure hai. So I think somewhere in the journey, woman has, I think, lost that thing. It is of course, she as a woman, she has a feminine energy, but something has been lost or left behind, that she's not able to recover, that she can do a lot of things. It's just that it is a societal pressure, or it is her own kind of afterthought that she has in her mind that she's not able to realize how powerful she is.
Yeah. We still think that we can do a lot. We still think that we can do it all. What that is has changed. I think earlier, the kind of thought process that women had, our ancestors, the kind of thought processes they had was very different. And our priorities and our interests and our hobbies, everything has changed now. I don't know whether it's for the good or the bad, but if you look at what it's doing to women's health over the time, you will get your answer. Our ancestors were, you will hear a lot of people say this. I'm sure you've said it multiple times, as do I, that हमारी जो दादी थी और जो परदादी थी, they lived till 100, 101. And they were healthy for the longest time. हम तो like 40s में we are falling apart.
Right.
Why is that happening? That's happening because we are going far away from what was natural.
Mm-hmm.
We're not close to nature as we should. We are wearing synthetic clothes. We are using vessels and containers which are plastic. We're using a lot of chemical-laden products on our skin, eating packaged foods. We're going far away from nature.
Mm-hmm.
And as far away as we keep going, at a larger level, you'll keep seeing a shift, and a shift for the worse.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there are conversations happening around trying to bring sustainability back, etc., etc. But I don't know if it's coming also with the understanding of what was the ancient wisdom that our ancestors had.
Right.
Why were women back then, even in their 80s and 90s, able to climb stairs, able to do jhadu and pocha? When I at 40 am falling apart and I'm not able to do jhadu pocha on my own, I need a maid. I need a helper. I cannot do it on my own because time nahi hai, Netflix देखना ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, या जो भी है, whatever is the reason. But the reality is also that we just don't move enough like we did before. So yeah, we still think that we can do it all, and we are doing a lot of do it all stuff. But somewhere we've lost that ancient wisdom, which whoever you see going back to, you also see that they reap significant benefits, right? Whether you fix your food as per the season, as per the geographic location where you live in, you eat that stuff, and not the packaged foods that have become popular, not the imported stuff that has been coming and you buy it at like 500 rupees a piece or something of that sort. But if you go back to the basics, you will see that you reap benefits a lot. I was reading about somebody who transformed their life pretty recently, and he had said that I have decided that I am going to eat only what was on my grandfather's plate. Any food item that he would not have recognized, I'm not going to eat. Which means any of these new fads that you have, ki nahi, ab to avocado khana hai, edamame khana, I'm not saying that's bad, I like it, but wo sab nahi khana hai. His point was about going back to basics, saying that I'm going to follow the seasons, I'm going to follow the geographic location where I am, yahan pe jo ugta hai, wo khana hai mujhe. और मुझे फ्रेश चीज़ें खानी है और मुझे पैकेज फूड नहीं खाना है और मुझे सर्केडियन रिदम के हिसाब से चलना है कि खाना जो है मुझे सनसेट से पहले खाना है. देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ विजडम अराउंड दीज थिंग्स. सो if you try to go back to that, learn and try to imbibe those things, you'll reap significant benefits.
True. And I just keep telling on this, and then I mentioned we have to वापस से again. This is I feel a lot is because a lot of comparison is going on. Since we're talking about women's health also, now अगर घर में झाड़ू पोछा करना है तो नहीं कर रहे, बट वही मैं 2 घंटे जिम जाके वो सारी चीजें कर लूंगी. एंड there's a favorite meme, इस सिलेंडर उठाने वाले तो नहीं उठाएंगे, बट जिम में जाके आप 20 कीजिएगा, बार बार उठा सके. So I think just because so that we have the women who are watching this podcast realize that it is not about a race where you have to be like, आपको strength training करने के लिए या फिर आपको फिट होने के लिए जिम जाने की जरूरत नहीं. Of course you can go to gym, उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. I also go to gym, but that is not it. You have a lot of things also to, so you just need to prioritize कि क्या चीज़ करनी. There is no race कि अगर लड़की भी जिम जाती तो मुझे भी जिम जाऊंगी तो ही मैं फिट दिखूंगी, वैसा कुछ
Also, I think the idea is to understand the basics. What are you trying to achieve? If you go to the gym, what are you trying to achieve? You're going to run on the treadmill. You can, like you rightly said, you can do it by a lot of other household activities as well. If you आप जिम में जाके स्टेयर मास्टर पे चढ़ रहे हो, हम घर पे स्टेयर्स भी तो चढ़ सकते हो ना, लेकिन नहीं, हमको लिफ्ट लेनी है, एक फ्लोर के लिए भी हम लिफ्ट लेते हैं ना. तो या वो सब है, and I'm guilty of it too. A lot of things that I'm very happily talking about right now, I don't do it myself. I mean, talk about sleep. I should be the last person talking about sleep. I don't sleep well. I just keep avoiding sleep, and not because मुझे नींद नहीं आती है, because मुझे सोना नहीं है, because there's just too much happening that I just want to do it all, right? So yeah, but the thing is, there are merits to those things, and those are the only things that have proven time and again that they work.
Correct.
आपको नहीं पता कि अगर आपने एक लेटेस्ट डाइट कर लिया तो उससे कुछ होगा, आपने ओजेम्पिक ले लिया उससे कुछ होगा, आपने जिम ज्वाइन कर लिया, आपने प्रोटीन ब्रो बन के कुछ कर लिया तो होगा नहीं, आई डोंट नो. बट ऑल दीज थिंग्स दैट फॉर द बेसिक्स दैट आवर एंसेस्टर्स ऑलवेज डिड, दोज डेफिनेटली वर्क. That's the only thing that is proven time and again that works. If we follow that, then maybe we'll just become a healthier and better generation.
I mean, the generation is moving toward that. Recently, I saw there's a resort kind of stuff in Pune, village kind of setup where they tell you कि आप चक्की पीसो. That is a after activity that they're attracting people कि आप couple हो तो आप इधर and you will get to live a village life. But that is the same thing that you can replicate within your homes.
Yeah. But again, it depends, what you do. There are, like I said, it has to happen at a systemic level. It's very difficult otherwise. अभी हम बोल रहे हैं कि हम ये सब करेंगे, but अगर रियलिटी ये है कि आप सुबह बोरीवली से निकल रहे हो और आपका ऑफिस तारदेव में है, ठीक है, तो जाने आने में ही आपके 3 से 4 घंटे कहीं नहीं गए एक दिन के, और उसके अलावा आपके जो बाकी के रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज, यूर इन ऑफिस फॉर 8 to 10 hours a day. कितना टाइम हो गया? 14 घंटे तो ये चले गए. सोने के लिए टाइम नहीं बचा, फिर आपने खाना भी खाना है, you have to do your ablutions, you have to do everything else, you have to spend time with your family, you want to spend time with your family, you want to do all of that. Where is the time? So those are also factors there, and I don't claim to have an answer to everything, but I do know that I do believe that the answer is going to come at a holistic level. We've got to take one space, and then we've got to see as a nation कि भारत क्या अचीव करना चाहता है एज अ कंट्री, कि हम क्या करना चाहते हैं एज अ कंट्री. डू वी वांट टू do a certain thing for women or whatever at a national level? Then we go down to industries, we go down to companies, we go down to households, we go down to communities, and at every level you can keep modifying, changing whatever is needed, and provide a space for women to flourish even more. I think that's the only way to do this. You cannot have solutions in isolation.
Since you have just touched base to कि भारत क्या करना चाहता है, so there is a lot of fem-tech wave going across the entire globe. We have seen a lot of fem-tech Africa, fem-tech Spain. So where do you think, or what do you think should be अगर हम fem-tech India की बात करें? So these are the levels. If we see holistically, तो हाँ, आपको हर कंपनी में 2-3 फीमेल चाहिए, या you should have a leader, woman leader at the board, or you should have at least minimum number of women employees. So these are certain things that has been done in a scattered format. But I think you would be better to answer कि वो कितना fruitful है, and where does the actual gap still lie?
Absolutely, like you rightly said, scattered format, right? It's being done. Obviously, we've heard that there has to be representation at the board level of women leaders, right? कैसे पहुंचेंगे board level पे? You've got to have worked for a certain number of years. You've got to have gathered that experience. वो करने के लिए आपको junior level से शुरू करना पड़ेगा. वो junior level पे भी जो चीजें होनी है वो सब होनी पड़ेंगी. That enablement has to happen at every level. I'll give you an example of a pharma company. At a pharma or pharma consumer, whatever. At those kind of companies, what happens is, if a woman joins as a salesperson, then are the policies and processes enabling her to survive in that environment? It's not an easy environment. Are they enabling her to survive? sometimes there are knee-jerk reactions. I actually had a business leader coming in telling me that, listen, let's just give period leave to women employees. And he had a plan. He came and he told me, this is the plan, this. And I listened to him patiently. And at the end of it, I asked him, वो सब ठीक है? How will you validate कि उसके periods हो रहे हैं कि नहीं हो रहे हैं? And then he went quiet and he said, how do we deal with it? I said, we've got to ask ourselves, what is the problem that we are trying to solve? And then go back and figure out other ways to deal with it. You cannot come up with a knee-jerk reaction. The moment you come up with a knee-jerk reaction, you are giving birth to other assorted problems. And then you have to deal with them as well. So don't do that. This is not an urgent thing to do. We will do it. So let's plan. Let's take a step back. Think about it. What do we want to do? We want more representation of women candidates to be joining us. Okay. Are your managers aware that they should be not having that bias? Because I've heard a lot of managers say that I cannot hire a female in sales. वो करती नहीं है, थक जाती है, धूप में चक्कर आ रहे हैं, ये हो रहा है वो. This is the conversation that is happening. So we've got to educate everyone around us that, are we educating people? Because if you want to hire, we've got to educate people who will be involved in that hiring, involved in mentoring that junior kid who's coming into the corporate world. It has to start from there. तब जाके आपके पास board level पे इतनी महिलाएं होंगी कि आप बोल सकते हैं कि हाँ, भारत में corporate world में you've got very, very good representation. I think India is doing very well as a nation. We are a lot of countries around the globe call us third world or whatever, but we've had women leaders at the top from when? From 70s or even earlier maybe, right? We've got the prime minister, we had a prime minister, woman prime minister, we have a woman president. We've had very, very senior women leaders across industries. So we are doing very well. But at the same time, we are a very large, diverse nation. And we have to do better. We have to do a lot more just to close that loop. There are solutions in bits and pieces, in pockets here and there. We've got to just bring it all together at some point, and that is going to make it easier. I mean, it's going to be roughly at least 50% of the population, women. It's a pretty significant population. It cannot be, if you look at clinical trials, you look at medical benchmarks, you look at anything, all of those are primarily calibrated around men.
Right.
You cannot ignore 50% population. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying that now we know that that's the situation. Let's create another benchmark for women. Because the thing is, when a woman is going through menopause or perimenopause or maternity or whatever, the criteria changes. So I was using this one tracker some time back, and it had a very interesting thing that it tracks sleep. And then it said that, if you're a new parent, log that in because your sleep is not getting recorded otherwise well. I don't know if it was closing the loop anywhere, but I thought it was an interesting thing to see. So again, you'll see a lot of these changes even in health tech sort of products.
Right.
I think while that is a welcome change, that there is at least a start. I don't know if there are a lot of solutions around a more comprehensive solution. At the same time, I also feel that there has to be something that is accessible to everyone. It's us. We are, I don't know, very small percentage of women living in urban areas who can afford these kind of things. Is the larger population, Bharat ki Mahilayein, are they able to get access to those kind of solutions, right? So those are also important questions to be asked.
Correct. Talking about, you mentioned about the trackers or the health tech, maybe the wearable tech that is going on. So what are your points, like, since you have used to use wearables or gadgets? So where do you think do they lack? Like, if you had to build one feature one feature that could be a core part of these wearable tech, what could that be?
See, there are some interesting metrics that they track, but I feel that most of them are generic.
Okay.
Generic again in the sense that the baselines are the same for men and women both. It does ask you whether you're a woman or a man, but I don't see it being significantly different. Number one, maybe there is an improvement required in that space. The second thing is that there is a lot of tracking happening, and it tells you that this is when you expect your period, this is when you're ovulating, this is when whatever else is happening. But I don't know if it's comprehensive enough to tell you more than that. There are a few metrics. You've got your heart rate, you've got your heart rate variability, you've got VO2, you've got some of those metrics which are very common by now. And that's it. Specific to women, the only additional thing that you'll see will be ovulation related cycle. That's it. I don't think there is a comprehensive thought process around it. I think again, these wearable trackers are mostly generic. The calibration is again mostly for men, I think. In certain areas, yes, for women, especially when you talk about the menstrual cycle tracking and all of that. Other than that, there isn't a lot of customization for women. So there probably needs to be that. And it depends on what kind of technology we have at play and what all can be measured. But since women's bodies are so different, one is, of course, the metrics, the measurements will be different. Like what is normal for a man is not necessarily normal for a woman. And then, that whole thing has to feed into. Of course, these trackers do ask you questions around whether you're a man or a woman. But I think so far, it's the maximum I've seen is around ovulation, menstrual tracking. I've not seen anything more than that. And I've used 2-3 kinds of trackers, but I don't think it measures anything more than that. More information is coming in still from the usual blood tests and other tests that you do. And then that may feed into this data and then give you a comprehensive report. But the variables by itself are not to my knowledge as yet, very customized to women.
Just adding to this point, since we talk about variables and as the AI wave has imbibed in, so these variables have also shifted to AI-based analysis. So particularly in terms of privacy and safety, how comfortable are you as a woman? Let's say if I have menstrual issues or maybe I have mental issues. So how comfortable are you in sharing all those information with an AI, knowing that data will definitely be shared outside your own comfort area, because so AI goes to cloud and there's all safety and privacy thing coming.
Honestly, the amount of data that we have shared is itself just too much. So complaining about data privacy today will just make me sound rather silly. But the thing is, when the internet was blowing up and when social media was blowing up and this whole thing of data mining from individuals started by way of either social media apps or different services, we were the guinea pigs of that time, right? So at that time, we didn't know about the perils of it. We just felt, oh, this is so cool, and you can be in touch with your friends on Facebook and Orkut and whatever else existed back then. And so we gave all our data very, very happily to everybody possible, to Google, to Microsoft, everybody has it. So complaining about data privacy today is going to be a bit of a farce. I think I'm comfortable. I mean, basic data is absolutely fine. If there is no financial information going in and this data is not very, very private, at least so far what I think I have shared, I think I'm comfortable for the purpose of analysis and understanding basic patterns in your body of your health. It's pretty useful.
Perfect. So just moving towards the end, we have a lot of women watching this podcast. So what would be that one message that you would like to pass on to the audience?
I think what we have spoken about so far, briefly, if I had to sum it up, would be that please listen to your body and take care of yourselves. We know all of us are always wanting to take care of everyone around us, our families, our loved ones, but we have to take a pause and think about ourselves as well. Take a break. Do not delay any of the health issues. There is a significant merit in early diagnosis. We can actually avoid a lot of potentially big issues if we get diagnosed early. So maybe we should focus a little bit on that, and understand the basic science, understand our body. What does our body do, uh, and follow that. I think we will do a big service to uh, ourselves by just doing some of these very basic things. I think that's really it.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming.
Thank you for having me. Namaskar, Raul.